Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mnemonic Insights. My name is Jessica Minhas. I'm the marketing director at Mnemonic, and with me is Una Jefferson, who's a regulatory analyst with Mnemonic. Una today would be discussing the proposed changes to the rules of EPA related to accident prevention and response related to chemicals, any facilities that deal with hazardous chemicals. So, Una, what are the proposed changes?
Well, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, they have issued a proposed rule which would cancel a lot of expansions to the EPA's risk management program. And these expansions were made back in the Obama era by the EPA. And they concern the prevention of and preparation for chemical accidents, and then they also concern actions that need to be taken in order to respond to accidents and investigate accidents after they've happened.
Sure. And when were these rules supposed to come into effect that were proposed by the Obama government?
So they were passed back in early 2017, right before the administrations changed, right before the Trump administration came in. And they were delayed several times by the EPA. They were under the most recent delay. They were supposed to come into effect in 2019. Now it looks like some of these provisions, particularly concerning the investigation of chemical accidents, will not come into effect at all, and others will have their due dates delayed. The reason for this that is given by the EPA is that it will give chemical facilities more time to make program changes.
Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit. Why did the Obama administration propose these changes in the first place?
There were a series of quite serious chemical accidents that were cited as reasons for these changes. One of the big ones was back in 2013, and it was an explosion that occurred at a fertilizer facility in Texas, and I think 13 people died. Most of them were emergency responders, and so this was really cited as a reason for the Obama administration issuing an order which said we need several agencies, including the EPA, to look at ways we can prevent and improve our response to chemical accidents. And just one thing that's interesting to note is that the fertilizer facility where this explosion occurred, it was, I believe, the substance that exploded was anhydrous ammonia, and that's actually not covered by the changes that were made. It's not currently covered by the risk management program.
But it was just a wake-up call to
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now then the administration changed, and can you remind me who the director of the EPA now is under the Trump administration?
It's currently Scott Pruitt.
Okay. And so what is Scott Pruitt's rationale to cancelling out these regulations that were proposed, and they were actually coming into effect now? So what is his rationale?
So yes, the rationale, I would say that broadly speaking, the EPA under Scott Pruitt is pursuing deregulation. So they're rolling back all kinds of environmental protections, environmental and safety protections related. And the two main rationales that they've given for scaling back, or for canceling and pushing back, specifically for the rules that they're canceling, the rationale is firstly that these rules are too expensive for chemical facilities to comply with. And so it's common practice, I would say, for the EPA, including under the Obama administration, to provide an economic analysis of what would be the cost of any given rule. And so the Obama era rules, they also provided an economic analysis, and they said, yes, these rules would be expensive for facilities to comply with, but they also did a calculation and found that chemical accidents are very expensive, even if they just occur sometimes. They found that it was worth it overall, economically speaking, for these rules to go forward. But the EPA under the Trump administration has done a slightly different analysis, but with the same, it's also an economic analysis, but they've said there's a new factor which was not considered in the previous analysis, which is that some of these requirements require chemical facilities to provide information to the public and to emergency responders that they say would compromise the security of these chemical facilities. So this would be information concerning what chemicals are in the facility, in what amounts, how are they stored, how are they used, and this information is intended to inform the public about potential risks and inform emergency responders about how to respond. But the EPA has said that providing this information, it makes it more likely that accidents would occur due to terrorism and the theft of substances. And they've said that would also make these regulations more costly. And I think in general, they have been tending towards favoring flexibility and compliance cheapness for companies. So they have made a different decision.
Okay. And are they cancelling out all of the regulations that were proposed under the Obama administration, or are they going to keep some?
No, they're going to keep some. So the main ones that are being cancelled, actually most of the provisions that would be cancelled concern post-accident response and investigation. So one of the big ones is that after the Obama era rules, they required a kind of a deep and specialized root cause analysis to be done after an accident, and they set a deadline. They said that within a year of an accident, an analysis or an investigation that meets these specifications needs to be done. And so that requirement has been repealed, and it's gone back to the original rules, which were, or the rules from before the Obama era changes, which basically said, yes, after an accident, an investigation needs to be done, but it doesn't need to go so deep, and there's also the 1 year time deadline is not there. Another big change another big proposed change now is the Obama era rules. They required a few types of chemical facilities that have the highest rate of dangerous accidents. So notably, pulp and paper manufacturing, petroleum manufacturing, and chemical manufacturing facilities. They set up requirements for these facilities to routinely assess whether there was any technology or processes that would be safer than their current technology and processes. And so they also set out a series of rigorous requirements for saying what is the technology that is out there that could make our processes safer. So for example, by using less hazardous chemicals, by substituting out hazardous chemicals, by using hazardous chemicals in safer conditions. And then they also required a study of feasibility. So how economically feasible and other factors, how feasible would it be for us to implement these technologies? And so this requirement has also been completely cancelled.
Okay, and what are the requirements that have not been cancelled?
So the requirements that have not been cancelled mostly concern coordination with emergency responders, and there's also a requirement that a facility organizes or holds a public meeting within a certain amount of time after an accident. So that requirement will stand, although they have slightly decreased the amount of information that a facility is required to share with the public at this meeting. And yes, there will be new requirements coming into force in the coming years concerning a chemical facility's coordination with local authorities and emergency responders. There are routine drill requirements and also information sharing requirements.
Okay, and Una, as just your personal opinion, how do you think, is it a good news or a bad news, or what do you think how is it going to impact the industries that deal with chemicals?
I'm certainly not an expert on this, I would say. I do think that the regulatory impact analysis done by the Obama era EPA, there was a compelling case made for the extreme costs of of chemical accidents, particularly the very rare but very serious chemical accidents. So there's definitely, I think saying rules are expensive for facilities to enforce and therefore they're too expensive, that's not the whole story, because there's a, I guess I would say I'm in favor of risk management. For example, the United Steelworkers have put out a petition I forgot to mention, first of all, that one of the main reasons that the current EPA has cited for these rule changes is that there was a petition submitted by basically by a group of different industries. So I think the American Chemistry Council and the American Petroleum Institute, they're saying, we're not in favor of these changes, please reconsider them. And they did. Following these changes, the United Steelworkers have put out a statement saying, we think these changes make our workers less safe because they make chemical accidents more likely and the appropriate handling of chemical accidents less likely. So please, we commit to fighting against them. And I think that's important to consider as well, the safety of workers and the safety of emergency responders and surrounding communities.
So has the cancellation come into effect, or is it just proposed?
It's proposed.
Okay.
And they're actually seeking comment.
Oh,
I believe
wow.
The comment period is open until June 29th.
Okay, that's good. So anyone who wants to comment, the comment period is open until June 29.
Yes.
So to summarize, we can say that the requirements that were made stringent in the Obama administration were supposed to were passed and they were supposed to come into effect, but the effective date was being delayed for a long time, and now it's even proposed by the current administration to actually cancel out some of the requirements. And how it is going to impact the industry, there are two opinions. Some would think that it's a good news for the industry since it's going to reduce their costs, but another way of looking at this is that accidents are much more expensive. So regulations make you follow the standards and they prevent accidents. And if these regulations become less stringent, then the probability of accidents increases, which is going to be more expensive to the industry.
I would also say a big question I have now, I think an important question to be answered, maybe someone's answered it on the internet, I'll go check, is, how frequent are chemical accidents due to terrorism and chemical theft as opposed to chemical accidents that occur due to routine operations?
Which is the rationale for the current administration.
Part of the rationale, yes. So that I'd be interested to know.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Una, for sharing all this interesting information. At least I enjoyed the information so much. And if you want to, we publish a podcast every week, sometimes even two. So stay tuned. You can find the podcasts at any of the popular podcast providers, and also you can find it on iTunes as well as Google Store. So see you. You can please browse the other podcasts that we have, and see you next time pretty soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.